Welcome back to TeamSport Acton. This is GP2. I've qualified in third position, and as you can see, I'm starting on the right hand side. It's going to make it quite difficult to retain third place going into the first corner. James Barnes sneaking up the inside, and he's going to make it stick here. A little bit of contact, but not much he can do when you're close, fighting that close. So Pretty in pink, he's surged ahead. I'm going to have a go now at regaining the position. He's left the door open, so it's a little bit of a lunge. Managed to get alongside, but he has got the inside here, so there's not much more point in fighting him through here. So let's see if I can stay on the case, follow him round, and take advantage of some fighting up ahead. You can see initially the front two have opened a little bit of a gap, but they are going to be squabbling quite a bit now over the next coming laps, so they're going to lose quite a bit of time, and we're going to close up right behind them. I'm actually forced to go to the outside there rather than run into James. Lose a little bit of ground there, and not particularly great traction coming out of that corner, so I have been gapped a little bit there. Thankfully the guys up ahead are still going to slow each other down enough for me to take back the ground I've lost. You can see James knows I'm there. He's looking over his shoulder. Cruising right up to the back of James now. And guy behind thinking about having a go. Make sure we close the door on that. Don't want to invite any lunges on my inside. Shepherd into the outside there. And we've covered off the position. I think we're safe for the time being. And we can cruise back up James's bumper. He knows I'm there. Now, I'm going to put this in slow-mo because this is the moment where I screw everything up, misjudge the situation, go for a lunge, hit the back of Dante's kart and put myself into a spin. All the way down to last place. So, it's going to be a tough one now. Can I fight back from last place and salvage a result from this race? Have a quick look over at the pits here, because during this race we're supposed to make one mandatory pit stop for a kart change. I wasn't really sure whether it was allowed in, which is why I slowed down. I thought the cone on top of the tyres meant that the pit lane was closed, so I didn't go in. Which means that, yeah, we're going to lose some time as we try to pass these guys at the back of the field. Ideally we'd like to just circumvent this whole issue by going straight into the pit. You can see Mr. Purple Suit there, not happy with Mr. Blue Suit. Now hopefully I can get the pair of them. Mr. Purple Suit's opened the door, so I've gone down the inside. Nice little dive bomb there. A little bit of contact, but I don't think the move was too dirty, to be honest. And now we are gaining quite rapidly on Mr. Blue Suit. Is there a move to be made? Not just yet. Gapped us a little bit on the straight there. He's a little bit out of shape through that corner, and I'm going for the lunge here. Success. He's tried the switchback, but we've got the inside. Don't think that's going to happen. So we've got the position. Going to speed up the next few laps because it's going to take me a little bit of time to hunt these guys down. We'll eventually pull up behind them though. They are scrapping with each other. Will that leave the door open? Yep. Another dive bomb there and we're through. Let's see what we can do about the second Mr. Blue Suit. But no. Mr. Red Suit says I'm going to retake that position. I think about a lunge down the inside, but it wasn't really on, so got to back out. We've lost some traction there. Not great. It will take me a lap or two, I think, to regain the time on these guys. Or not, because they're scrapping again with each other, and the door's open. Managed to squeeze through on the inside there. Hopefully this time I can make the move stick. Blue Suit again, going quite defensive here. He's going to cover there off that side, I think, so move's not on this time. It's quite slow through there, surprisingly slow. Door's not open there. Quite worried at this point that Mr. Red Suit's going to come back through. But instead, there's Mr. Purple Suit. On the restart there, we do regain our position. Not really sure what the situation was behind me that resulted in that, but all is well for the time being. Let's see if we can finally get past Mr. Blue Suit. He's going to take a wider entry into that corner, which gives us a little bit better traction. And now I can see the blue flag, so rather than scrap with this guy and lose more time, I'm going to dive into the pits for my pit stop. I'm being directed to the kart just above around the other side of this barrier, number 25. Put my pedals in position, make a quick seat adjustment. Don't press the blue button on the steering wheel, because that resets the kart. And make sure I'm not rejoining in traffic. There you go. So, it's going to take me a couple of laps to get the tyres warmed up and find the pace to catch the guy ahead, but eventually we do reel him in. And it is time to think once again about overtaking Mr. Red Suit. He's got well out of shape in that corner, which has opened the door. I'm going for a dive bomb again. Managed to make it stick. Again, it's going to take a few laps for me to catch up with the karts ahead, but we do eventually get there. Now, is there a move on here? Well, something's on, but it all got a bit confusing through that corner with the fighting up ahead, and unfortunately that has opened the door for Mr. Red Suit to come back alongside us. He does back out of that move. I would have thought, you know, he'd stay in for that one. He had a good opportunity to make it work, but decided against it on that opportunity. And now we're cruising up again behind Mr. Blue Suit, with another Mr. Blue Suit directly ahead of him, diving into the pits. So, can we finally make the move here? And the guy ahead is driving number 13, which for the past few months at least has been a pretty good kart on the straights, which might explain why he is pulling away a little bit on those straights. One of the stronger karts in the fleet. Still, we're gaining in the corners. I don't think it'll be long now before we get an opportunity. There's more fighting up ahead, and I don't know what's happened there. He's just kind of lost it going into that corner. Maybe the purple suit driver ahead distracted him in some way, but we've been gifted a position. I'll gladly take it. Let's see if we can take some more positions. Mr. Purple Suit goes for a lunge on another Mr. Blue Suit. Makes the move stick. Can we follow him through? Looking over my shoulder there, I lost quite a lot of traction. Thought I might be under threat, but now the door opens for us and we've gone for another lunge down the inside. And we're following in hot pursuit behind Mr. Purple Suit. Going to speed it along a little bit here. It takes a while again to catch this driver. He seems to have a little bit more pace than the guys that he was fighting with previously. Not an easy one to reel in. But we do eventually get there. Now there's a red flag. Unfortunately, that brings us to a stop. And we lose a little bit of ground on the restart. So I'm going to fast forward again as we try to reel him back in. He does dive into the pits. So I've got some clear air to pump in some fast lap times before eventually we come to another red flag. Moving on, and quite a few laps later we do catch up to, it's another blue suit driver. They're everywhere tonight. This one's covering the inside quite well. He hasn't opened the door for us here. And now we are losing quite a lot of time. This is for position, so he's not obliged to get out of the way. And what this is doing is allowing a kart to creep up behind us. To catch a little glimpse of his front bumper there. And it emerges the kart that is trying to pull alongside us is in fact the leader at this point. And I'm under the impression that I'm fighting everyone around me for position. So I'm quite keen to get ahead of Mr. Blue Suit here and assume what I hope is the lead of this race. Not entirely sure how I got into this position, considering my terrible opening laps. Maybe I had better pit stops, I don't know. But you can see Mr. Blue Suit has slowed me down quite a bit there. And the driver ahead of us now is just giving us the signal to work together. I'm quite happy to do that if he can force a gap and let us through. I believe it's Toby, who is a middleweight. He did compete in this year's BIKC, so he has got some pace and he does force a gap for us there. We're able to follow him through. And so ensues a battle that I thought was for the lead of the race. He had initially opened up a little bit of a gap, but I have managed to reel that back in. And now I'm thinking about going for a lunge. You can see he's nervous, he's looking over his shoulder. Covers the inside this time, there's no opportunity. But we are very, very close. Not close enough on this opportunity, on this occasion. We are definitely carrying a bit more speed through the corners. He's opened the door and I've gone for the lunge. Unfortunately, I lost quite a lot of speed through there, and going up the ramp as a heavyweight, that's not where you want to lose the speed. Toby's allowed to pull back alongside us and regain the position. He knows I've got a little bit of overspeed there, so he's covered the inside very well. So I'll have to try again. Not close enough for the lunge this time. You can see coming onto this straight, we are just able to bring on a little bit more speed through these corners. Does he open the door? No, not this time. And unfortunately, to avoid hitting him there, I do have to back out, lose a little bit of momentum, which does allow him to open a little bit of a gap. And that takes me a lap or two to reel in again. Eventually though, we are back within striking distance. Gaining quite a bit there. And we're looking a bit closer this time. He's opened the door, so I'm going for another dive bomb. There we go, and this time he hasn't pulled alongside on the right hand side, so I'm thinking I've got the move done. Instead though, he's gone for a switchback and it's well executed. He's back ahead. I really should have backed out in that corner because I wasn't alongside enough to make the challenge for the move, for the position there, but Thankfully it didn't affect him too badly. He's able to regain the position fair and square. And that's another red flag. Thankfully this time we're allowed to proceed up the ramp before the restart, so it's not going to cost us too much. Unfortunately though, we are now going into the final lap. It's now or never, and it doesn't look like we're going to be close enough to have one final lunge at the leader. Again, closing through the corner there, but we're just not close enough as we go on to the start-finish straight for the final time. And in fact, I was just battling to unlap myself, which is a shame. Go for an awkward fist bump there. Nice little battle. Thanks for watching.